Fulton County DA Fani Willis would indict Donald Trump again.
Well, that's what she said at a state Senate committee meeting today. And it was during a tense and crowded hearing at the state capitol. For 3 hours, she answered lawmakers' questions about the 2020 election interference case. It's the first time that we've heard from Willis since a judge dismissed the charges late last month. 11 Live's Doug Richards is live from the state capitol tonight. Doug, how do you think it went? What did you take from today's proceedings?
Well, everybody behaved pretty professionally given how much elements of hostility were kind of baked into it potentially, with Republicans asking the questions of the Democratic prosecutor who dared to indict the Republican former president. It didn't take long for the DA to lose a little bit of her patience.
And I know you are somewhat offended that I had the audacity to prosecute, these folks that came into my county and committed crimes.
Fani Willis stood by her decision to pursue criminal cases against Donald Trump and a list of alleged co-conspirators.
This wasn't special to me. This was another day of business.
It was a case that blew apart after revelations Willis had a personal relationship with Nathan Wade, the prosecutor she hired to handle the case.
Are you trying to intimate that you're going to tell me who to hire and how to do my job?
No, ma'am.
Willis was facing Republican senators, many of them now seeking higher office in next year's election, accused by Democrats of a witch hunt.
You all have been trying to intimidate me for 5 years, which is why I have not been able to live in my house for 5 years, because the N-word has been written on my house.
Republicans said defendants whose cases were dismissed deserved answers.
I think about my friends who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars defending themselves against these politically motivated charges, and that's the witch hunt.
Should Willis have hired another special attorney besides Nathan Wade?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, here's the whole purpose. Who are you going to get to try this case? I mean, the truth of the matter is, anybody that stood up to try the case was going to get threatened with their life.
That was former Governor Roy Barnes, who was acting as Willis's defense attorney. The Democrat revealed, Barnes did, that he was offered the position that Willis offered Nathan Wade. Wade was criticized for accepting $250 an hour for his work. Barnes said that he turned it down in part because it wasn't enough money. We are live at the Capitol tonight. Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
All right, Doug, thank you so much. And of course, the case is over. So the question now becomes, what becomes of this testimony that we sat here and listened to today?
That's right. So that's where we're going to bring in, of course, we're going to bring in Zach Merchant, who's the co-anchor of the Georgia Vote. So what did you learn from all of this?
Yeah, and Jennifer, you ask a really good question. What comes next? What happens next? Where does this all go? There are unresolved questions to answer that question over just how much power, in particular, if any, the state legislature has to punish an elected district attorney. So these are the questions that are all swirling. We talked to Emory Law School professor John Acevedo. He said the Republican-controlled Senate Special Committee on Investigations, which is where we saw DA Fani Willis testifying today, he says they only have the power to fact-find. They can obtain testimony, they can obtain documents, but they cannot directly punish a district attorney for anything. However, the state legislature did create another entity called the Prosecuting Attorneys Qualifications Commission. Governor Brian Kemp signed it into law last year, and according to statute, that commission has the power to remove a DA from office for certain types of misconduct committed while in office. But similar efforts, they've faced legal challenges in the past, and Acevedo says this version of the Qualifications Commission has not yet been put into use.
Yeah, it's untested. We'll have to see. And there's both state issues, the power of the state Senate to have created this commission. There's also likely to be a federal issue about removing an elected official, because this is someone who was elected by the voters of Fulton County and then reelected. So there was going to be potentially here both a state level case and a federal case should this commission attempt to remove or discipline Fani Willis.
And to be very clear, the Qualifications Commission, it was not involved in today's proceedings, but Professor Acevedo says if it did get involved down the road and then try to punish the DA, its power to do so would likely face some serious legal challenges that the courts would have to resolve. They'd have to answer before any action could be taken. In some ways, we've seen this saga go on for many years now, take lots of twists and turns, and like at so many junctures along the way, here too are some potentially unresolved, yet to be answered legal questions.
Yeah, especially when we have to wait and see what the state lawmakers decide to do.
What do they do next?
During the next legislative session. So the story continues.
The story continues.
And I know you guys are going to be on top of this. We appreciate that. Zach, by the way, you can watch all of the DA Fani Willis's testimony right now on 11 Alive Plus. You can stream it for free on your TV.